us each Saturday for the Justice is Here podcast, an innovative, revolutionary podcast that speaks to justice for all party members across America. We'll speak to leadership, we'll speak to activists, and most of all, we want to hear your opinion. So if you're tired of the two-party system and how it doesn't work for you, tune into this podcast to learn how we can take back the justice that we deserve. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I have a new computer, so I am wondering, I usually don't ask this right up front, but if you can hear me, please type yes in the comment section. I don't know if people can hear me or not. If you can hear me, just type yes in the comment section. And while I wait for that, I'm going to see where my guest is at because I am expecting a guest today. So you can hear me. Okay, great. Okay. So I'm still contacting my guest, hoping that it'll come in soon. I don't know why, because I know I emailed the link. I made sure you got it. I'll be with you guys here in just a second. Sorry about this. I'm just kind of trying to... Oh, there he is right there. Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you as soon as I turn up my computer.
Perfect.
I was just about to email you like, okay, I know I had somebody scheduled today.
Yeah, and it just took me a little bit to retrieve the email, but I got it. I'm here. Happy to be here.
Great. So before we get started, we got a couple of bills to pay. Remember, as always, to visit the Justice for All Parties website at justiceforall.us. Justiceforall.us. That is justiceforall.us. Hit that subscribe button. Subscribing helps to get the message of the Justice for All Party out there. Remember that subscribing costs you literally nothing. We still want to get to 1,000. I don't know if we'll make it. We're at 382 right now. So if you could hit that subscribe button, that would be greatly appreciated. Remember that if I can bring it up, because I can't bring it up, we'll get to it here in just a moment. Oh, I got a touch screen. I'll do it this way. So the Justice for All Convention is scheduled June 10th, June 11th, June 12th, 2026 in the city of Columbus, Ohio. Visit the website at jfaconvention.com, jfaconvention.com. Remember also, I'm not going to read that long email address. If you're wanting, you have additional questions about how you can start a party in your state, or you want to get more active with the Justice for All Party, just send an email to that long address that I will not read. And yes, people can hear me. Remember also to share this podcast with 5 other people. We have to get the word out about how we are doing. And I am so sorry, when I was in the meeting, I called you Daniel, and that is not your name. I am so sorry.
No worries.
No, I don't like getting people's names wrong because I don't like when people spell my name with an E. I get like a really bad attitude. So I'm like, I really hate when I get somebody's name wrong. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. We had a good productive meeting earlier. We're in the middle of October. I like when the leaves change, all the scenery. So, having a good weekend so far. How's your weekend going?
My weekend is great. My computer decided to go out let me backtrack. So I had surgery last week, Thursday. I did not tell everybody I had surgery last Thursday. It went fine. I'm doing good. I was sore for like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I was just like, don't talk to me. I got an attitude, but I'm feeling great. But then my computer decided, hey, we'll just make you sit here and just decide not to work. So thank you, Tim, for sending me this brand new computer. Appreciate it. So happy. My quality is way, way better. So I'm doing fantastic. Fantastic. So we're going to get started. Um, I don't know if you got I don't allow cursing on my platform. Yeah, okay. Because I always forget if I do that. I'm like, did I remind them? And I will go on a rant. I have told every guest this at some point. I don't know what the subject will be, but I'm going to go off on a rant about one, why Trump absolutely makes me sick. Two, why the Democrats Party makes me absolutely sick. And three, why we need the Justice for All Party to make up the difference, because these fools out here acting like they don't want to do nothing.
Exactly.
Um,
Chickens coming to the roost.
exactly. Oh my goodness. So with my first time guest, I always have to go from in the past to get us to the present. How did you come? Oh, I'm going to backtrack this. Were you a supporter / voter for Dr. Cornel West?
Yes, I was. I was actually part of the Massachusetts committee. So I was one of the signatures and voter registration documents submitted to get us to get Dr. Cornel West write-in vote eligible for the state of Massachusetts. I did a hefty amount of campaigning for him last year. Set up different tables, different community locations throughout the greater Boston area, handing out flyers, things like that, to raise awareness about Dr. Cornel West's presidential run, what he stands for, and was successful with that in the sense that Melina Abdullah actually featured me, reshared me in her Instagram story 3 times last year during my campaigns. I went to various churches throughout the greater Boston area. I went to a mosque right on Malcolm X Boulevard, set up a table over there, and created my own personalized flyers, brochures with candidate comparisons between Dr. Cornel West, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, and Jill Stein, as well as created a whole checklist, a little like a viewpoint list of Dr. Cornel West, going over very important key attributes and key stances that he has that sets him apart in a positive way from the rest of the competition. So yeah, that's how I was very involved on the ground during the 2024 presidential election, advocating for the Justice for All Party and being a ambassador for Dr. Cornel West in my home state of Massachusetts.
Now, Massachusetts, if I never know if I'm saying that right, so I will just say Mass. So Mass, if I get my question right, every state has different ballot access initiatives. In Indiana, and yes, I still know this number, it takes 37,963 signatures to get Dr. West on the ballot. Obviously, we didn't make it, so we had to do a write-in. How did you cast your vote for Dr. West?
Yes, so we had to do a write-in vote. So there was a special blurb that you have to obviously go in the write-in box on the ballot. You fill in Dr. Cornel West. You have to put in his address as well for his campaign headquarters. I believe that was in California, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, those are the different that's how you had to vote for Dr. Cornel West in Massachusetts. We actually set up door hangers with all that information on how you can successfully write and vote for Dr. Cornel West on a Massachusetts ballot to make sure it does get counted. So there was it was pretty methodical with the way the state of Massachusetts wanted us to cast votes for Dr. Cornel West in order for it to be counted. I mean, obviously they do that for obvious reasons to make it more difficult for third parties to have success. But yeah, that's how you had to go about voting for Dr. Cornel West. But we set up those door hangers. We hung them up in different towns, zip codes throughout the greater Boston area, Massachusetts, just to get that information out there, because it's a very easy way for your hard work to go to waste. You have all these people willing to vote for Dr. Cornel West, and their intention is to vote for Dr. Cornel West, but they didn't dot their I's or what is the other word? What's the term? Dash your
Cross
T's,
their T's.
cross your T's, and your vote didn't count. I mean, that is voter suppression, but you got to learn to work against the opposing forces with that. So that's how the voting dynamics look like in Massachusetts.
And because I forget this, what was the signature required? Like, how many signatures did you all have to get for him to be on the ballot?
So to get our own write-in vote, to get him write-in ballot vote eligible, I believe there was 11 people had to submit their voter registration document. So basically, you had to go to your town hall. You had to get them to print their write-in vote eligible your voting eligibility document printed. And then you signed it, and then Yasha, who was one of our key members in Massachusetts, he picked up all those documents from the various the 11 individuals who took the time to do that. So yeah, that's how we went about doing that. Actually, I have a screenshot of it if you want to look at the document that we have.
Yeah, because I wasn't thinking of write-in. I was thinking of like actually having his name on the ballot. Like,
oh yeah, so that was that was a pretty daunting task. I believe you needed at least, it was about I think it was 100,000 signatures, something like that, to him to get his own ballot. So I mean, that's what we're working on now. In order to do that in Massachusetts, firstly you have to get 50 signatures just to be a recognized a party of some sort. But that doesn't mean you're going to have your own ballot box. In order to get the ballot box, you have to have an individual from your party running for a state position, state elected official position, and get 3% of those votes. The other alternative is to get I forget, it's like a percentage of a percentage of the voting registered population to join your party. I believe it gets pretty high. I think it's going to be I think it's 10%. I think you have to get 10% or something like that, between 1 and 10%, a pretty high number. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people to become a member of the party in order for you to get your own ballot box in Massachusetts.
And how many? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I was asking, how many people does the state of Massachusetts have? Like, what is the population number?
Yeah, so we got about 10 million people in Massachusetts.
So if you're talking 10%, that's 1 million people.
Yeah, now don't quote me on that 10%. I know it's between 1 and 10%. I know it's a rather high number. So all of us in the Massachusetts committee, we came to an agreement that it's more feasible for us to go the elected official route to try to get 3% of the votes for any ballot position that any elected official position that is available for candidacy in Massachusetts.
Yeah, but 5% is 500,000. And then half of that is 250,000. So if it was at 2.5%, that's a lot. Rant number one, these states, they make me sick with these inane, stupid ballot. You got to sign this and you can't have that. And you got to spell your name right.
This is a picture of the document I had to get. It's all of us, 11 of us. It was one of 11 voter registration certificates that qualified Dr. Cornelius to be write-in vote eligible. So that's how we got in write-in vote eligible. We had 11 people in Massachusetts go to their town hall, get their voter registration certificate, get that signed off, and then we collected it and then we submitted it to in the city of Boston, because that's where our capital is, of course.
Boston is the capital?
Yeah.
I thought it was another city. I'm like, oh, well, for some reason, I thought Springfield. I don't even know if there's a Springfield. Never mind.
There is a Springfield. That's where the Basketball Hall of Fame is.
Because I was like, oh, Springfield's the capital. But nope, it's Boston. See, I learned something today, everybody. So we move past that just to kind of get an idea of where you started from. So rant number one, here it comes. So I always say this, and remember, people watching, because I see some people watching, put your questions in the comment section, please. But election day, I don't know if I was just extremely hopeful or extremely naive. But I literally thought Dr. West had a chance to win. You couldn't tell me because I'm sitting here, I'm reading these polls, I'm sitting here thinking, oh, Americans are so frustrated with the two-party system, they're just going to naturally vote for Dr. West. And of course, I was wrong. And afterwards, it took me a while to recover because I was happy that Harris didn't win because to me she's guilty of genocide. But then I realized, oh, Trump won, so we got 4 years of Project 2025 to deal with. How did you personally deal with that? And then how did the collective volunteers in Massachusetts deal with that? Did you all come together to just have a big crying session? Or did you just say, you know what, we're done. We're not even going to try anymore. Obviously, you're trying because we'll get to that next. But what was the feeling on that election night?
Yeah. So, we like to keep things, we like to be realists with, all the work we do in the sense of, having a healthy balance of optimism as well as even, pessimism, because you have to have that happy medium when you're have such big goals, advocating and have such big dreams in mind for the vision of the ultimate vision of the Justice for All party. So really, me personally, my goal with the 2024 election was to make it a very big bridge year in the sense that take advantage of the trends that were happening in the United States at that time. People were exiting the Democratic Party at record-setting rates. The polls show that the desire for a third party is at the highest it's been, in record time. And just leveraging that momentum to capture a big enough audience and awareness from this 2024 campaign to jumpstart that grassroots movement and really hit the ground running with that. As far as third parties goes, up until 2024, we had the Green Party. It's been on the ballot every year, but let's be real, like, they've never had a congressional elected official in Congress. The progress with the Green Party as far as them gaining votes and public acceptance, it's been pretty stagnated. There was definitely a dire need for another third party to come into play. That was definitely more grassroots movement driven as well. Justice for All party addressed all those different topics that were sticking points and concerns for independent voters that were drawing them away from the Democratic Party, especially things like the urgency to cancel student debt, ending the genocide in Gaza, things like eliminating the property tax system that causes Black and brown school districts to be extremely underfunded compared to predominantly white school districts, things like that. Even in the sense of reparations for foundational Black Americans, all those different topics, as far as land returns to Native Americans and more justice for those reservations where have such high poverty rates, actually the highest in the United States. Those are all topics that Justice for All party really hearkened and hit on. Whereas with the Green Party started off as more as an environmentalist organization, and they incorporated these racial justice initiatives later down the road. So it got to a point where, just having that Green Party, that third party, was not enough to suffice for all these independent voters that have such diverse and important, political needs and political interests. So with that, yeah, I mean, obviously it wasn't good to, I knew that me personally, I knew 2024 was more of like a bridge year, just to get more representation throughout the different states. Success, we did that. Thankfully, we have a bunch of different state subcommittees of the Justice for All party. I believe over 30 in the country. So I mean, I used it more as a time for initiation, and just planting the seeds for what we're going to be doing forward. I know 2028 is going to be a huge election year, because now it is very well known that third party voters will be a determining force in elections. We saw in Michigan, we saw especially in Michigan how the third party votes really caused the Democrats to Democrats to lose votes because of the fact that they were no longer getting free votes just for the fact of there being Democrats. There's repercussions in place. If you're not going to address our needs, you're not going to blindly vote for an individual party. So we're just going to keep riding that momentum. And I think it's very clear to see even within the Democratic Party with DSA, with the Democrat nominee in the city of New York, Zohran Mamdani. You see in Minnesota, Minneapolis, in the Minneapolis mayor election with Omar Fateh. Those are not traditional Democrats. Those are Democrats that have many views that align with the Justice for All party, and they're getting great, heavy support, actually majority support from those Democratic voters. So for us, it's heavy steam forward and better days ahead for us. That's the way I looked at the election. I took it as a sign to be a sign of hope, as opposed to a sign of the fact that we had two awful candidates running, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and we no longer have to compromise our needs for the sake of just picking two leaders from the bi-party system.
Why couldn't I look at it that way? I mean, I'm going to just say I was very naive, because I worked I volunteered for the Nader campaign. Where a lot of us came out of was the Bernie Sanders campaign. I worked for Dr. West like you wouldn't believe. And for people to say they're tired of the system and then turn right around and vote within the system, it just blew my mind. I wish I had that type of realistic attitude, but no, because Tracy's a dreamer and she likes to think big, she just went and didn't curb her expectations. And yes, I do talk about myself in the third person, but I think the thing that's important about that is don't be, and we're going to get into how you get on the national committee and stuff you're doing in Massachusetts. But I want people out there to know we need people in every single state in this country. We're talking about, like you said, we have 30 now. We have to pick up 20, and we don't have all day to just sit around and just twiddle our thumbs and like, okay, let's just wait. Because one of the things that I think is a great failure, which it sounds like you all did a great job of addressing this, and what we in Indiana are going to want to do, is you address what was going on the ground. You didn't look to DC for the answers, if that's making sense. You just said, okay, what are the people in Massachusetts talking about? And I wish that we had did that, but now that I know, that's going to be one of our priorities. Talk about I'm just going to call you all the Mass Justice for All of Massachusetts, because I'm assuming there's more than two of you. Although I've just met you and just Yasha. Do you all meet? Do you all meet by Zoom? Do you all get together? Do you all go to like the No Kings protest? What is it that you all are doing now to build that foundation that we're going to need in 2026 and 2028? Because not only do we need it in 2028, we need it in 2026, because there's these things called midterms that are coming up.
Yeah. No, absolutely great question. So we meet every Monday at 7:00 in a Zoom meeting, just to go over different opportunities for civic engagement in Massachusetts, to draw more people to Justice for All party, form alliances with different interest groups that have a heavy alignment and overlap with what we believe in. And then we like to have it a good portion of the meeting informalized as well. Keep it casual, talk about current events, really have quality table talks about what's going on at the time. And I think that's another important part of forming a third party. When it comes to the Democratic and Republican Party, it's become very a huge bureaucracy, and it's become too formalized. It's become really out of touch with what the people, everyday citizens, believe in. It's really a matter of us, we vote for them, they're supposedly represent us, but they only have about 30 topics that they debate, that they really prioritize, and they discuss in their chambers of meetings. And the stuff that affects us in everyday lives, the stuff that we're literally reaching out to our local representatives in Congress, calling them out, emailing them about, and they don't even respond to us. Don't even give us responses. If they give us responses, the automated email response from the secretary, things like that. So in our meetings, we like to get everybody who's sitting in our meeting get an opinion of what they feel about the current events, what they foreshadow to happen in the future, how these different everyday events and global topics, as well as local topics, national topics, all have intersectionality, and what types of policy or what types of checks and balances would we want to have in place to address these topics if we were, if we were in Congress, or if we had voting, if we were an elected official in these different matters, because that's the ultimate goal of Justice for All Party. We want to be elected officials in our local, state, and federal level. So we can't just, flick a switch and all of a sudden, like, have, be equipped to do these types of things. You have to start from the very first day and having these types of table talks, this type of discourse, to establish a majority opinion, and not just a majority opinion, just establish, get a feel of what the rest of your fellow party members feel about different topics. We don't want to be like the Democrat Party, Republican Party, where the majority of those people only stand up for only vote on things that the majority of their parties support. We want to be able to have a diverse conversation and with our different party members, and learn and be thought-provoking with them, be proactive. So that's what we try to do with our current event topics and things like that. We have very educated conversations, and we really just do the whole 360 approach. The things we talk about can be all over the place, but we like it that way because justice has no boundaries, and we all know how that works. So that's what we like to do. A big thing on our agenda action item list right now is getting those 50 signatures to get party recognition. And now that's not ballot. That's not going to get us a ballot, a vote. What do you call it? A box in the ballot vote, but it's the first step. So we've been doing our due diligence and going to different events, civil rights rallies that have commonalities with what we believe in. Protests for pro-Palestine, against the genocide in Gaza, going to different events for things like what's another big topic that we've been talking about? Oh, things like student debt cancellation, collaborating with student organizations on those campuses to talk about how we can form interest groups with them, to advocate for those types of things. Like that's essentially what we're doing right now. We're a member of our party. Seems like every week they're at a different march for justice, for a different cause. We're setting up tables over there. We're collecting signatures. I'm doing a big part in having speeches at different faith-based organizations, just to share what we have to offer and get signatures that way. So that's the way we've been going about things in Massachusetts.
And hello, Catherine Hopkins. We just saw you a little bit ago. She wants to know, how many members are there in the Massachusetts JFA?
We have about, I'd say between 30 to 40. I would say about 30 members, between 30 to 50. I can check right now really quick. As far as who we have totality in our party, we have about we have about 20 members.
So what you do is you send 5 of them, tell them to move to Indiana, because see, we need more people. We really need more people. I do want to take a pause out for the cause and remind everybody. Yes, I'm going to be. I said I was going to do this every week. I've never failed to do it. The Justice for All Party needs your financial support. I don't know who thought that political organizing was free. It is not. We do not take corporate money. We're not taking money from APAC, big tech, big pharma, the military industrial complex, vendors, etc. Your donation of and the limit is $5,000 will go greatly to advance the work of the JFA party. So visit the website at justiceforall.us/donate, justiceforall.us/donate. And one more time, that is justiceforall.us/donate, because as we know, flyers, buttons, t-shirts, digital, all takes money. And we don't have very much of it, so your support is greatly appreciated. Nelson is checking in. Nelson checked in earlier. He says that's why I feel it's important to have a candidate who we can get behind as of now. Nelson, I agree with you 100%, so that we can get over the hurdles put up to stop us. Nelson also comments they like to put any third candidates in the spoiler boxes. We need to own it as a spoiler against it. Yes, Nelson. Yes, absolutely. We need to own that label. Yes, we're here to spoil it. We're here to spoil corruption. We're here to spoil the military-industrial complex. We're here to spoil ICE. We're here to spoil fascism. Yes, we are spoilers. That's what we do best. Yes, own it. I agree. Absolutely, Nelson. If you want to comment, you may go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what we're here to do. We want to show the country that there is an alternative. We no longer have to, appease our political interests and our beliefs and our needs for the sake of, only having two options. We're here to create a viable third-party organization that is for the people and by the people, and just set up that new wave of thought where the statistics are there, the public opinion is there, where we have the support needed to be a viable third-party option and gain healthy amount of votes to be a determining factor in elections. It just goes on to the brother Malcolm X quote, we're not outnumbered, we're out organized at the moment. And right now we're organizing. And once we get organized, the sky's the limit for us.
Absolutely. So I want to now move into the National Justice for All Committee. I'm on it as well as you're on it. What committee do you serve on? What made you want to serve on that committee, and what does that committee actually do?
Yeah, so I'm on the platform committee at the moment. As far as since the time I've joined, I haven't been in any meetings yet. So I haven't I haven't attended the meetings yet because since the time I joined, we haven't had a meeting. So that's where I'm at right now with the platform committee. As far as what the platform committee stands for, it's for basically engagement for essentially, with expressing like the views of the JFA party, and just to give a whole, I want to make sure I give the most correct answer with what the platform stands for, so I can pull up essentially what the exact what the party has used as its definition for the platform committee. So I can, if you want me to pull up in a second, I can do
yes, please. You absolutely can do that and take your time.
For sure.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just so you know too, like these committees are very new too. So we've been doing a lot of bylaws and amendments to it and stuff like that. So it's been pretty fluid. So that's another reason why I want to make sure that I give the most proper definition of what the platform committee is designed to do. So just give me a second with that, and I'll let you continue.
Okay, so she says, I think the Republicans and Democrats are two sides of the same coin. They just approach things from different angles. See, I'm going to agree with you, but disagree with you. They approach everything from the same angle. Whoever pays them the most, that's who they listen to. They literally are just like, they might as well do like Robin Williams said and have like their sleeves and like who's buying them off. Just have like their whole, just wear all of their sponsors on their jackets. But I do agree with you, they are exactly the same kinds. They're two of the same, they're the same side. They're two different sides of the same coin. Absolutely. And I don't know who this is, but welcome, Quintez Davis. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button. Are you ready yet, sir?
Oh, you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was the end of my comments. Yes. I'm at the end of my comments.
Yeah. So I'm just pulling. Just give me another second just to pull it up.
Okay.
Drive right now.
Oh, and while he's doing that, I forgot to make a special announcement next week. I'm telling you all now, right now. So when you tune in next week, I'm going solo next week. That's the plan. And I will only talk about the JFA convention. Yes, I'm going to be talking about the convention a whole lot, probably the whole month of November, the whole month of December, the whole month of January, right up until June. So I would just say get used to it until we get more candidates to appear. But I will be talking about that. Plus, I will be doing a special podcast from 11 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. at the No Kings rally. And I plan on being there with some JFA material to pass out. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll be going live on StreamYard, live on YouTube and Twitch. So be sure to tune into that.
Yeah, so essentially, our goal with the platform committee is just to document and outline, our policy positions, our principles and goals and things of that nature. So it's kind of, like I mentioned, the civic engagement and the platform that, makes what we stand for disseminated to the public, things of that nature.
Yep. And remember, everybody, that platform that he's talking about gets approved and voted on at the JFA convention / assembly, because I have to remember we're not nominating the president this time. So, how can I phrase this question where it's not seem like I'm asking the same question again? So I'm going to take a step backwards, then forward, then backwards, then forwards. It'll make sense once I ask the question. So, of course, you had the disappointment of the election. Somehow people did not listen to us and just voted for either Harris or Trump ends up winning. When you learned that there was going to be a Justice for All party, were you excited about it or were you hesitant?
Me, I was excited as can be. I vividly remember the day when I was scrolling through my Instagram and I saw on my Instagram story from Dr. Cornel West, because I've been following him for quite some time now, that he was announcing his candidacy for the 2024 presidential election. It was the first time in my life where I felt knowing wholeheartedly that what this candidate was going to run for is going to be not only authentic and committed to what his campaign promises are. It's going to be an alignment to what I believe in and what my political views are and my views on social justice. What they are composed of. So with that, I followed it heavily. With as the JFA party unrolled and things like that. Obviously, knew that in the beginning, we didn't. It took some time after he announced his candidacy to form the Justice for All party. But once that inception came into play, I was Googling quite frequently to see, the Massachusetts chapter, how I can join it from that sense. When I found the web link on Google, clicked on it, joined, put my contact details in there so I can become a member. And within 7 minutes, I remember Yasha adding me to the group chat. So all the expectations, I knew this was going to be a party run by people who truly care about, the political stances that they believe in and are truly here to make, revolutionary change and break up, the crooked political system we have right now that are really just, cat and mouse. On the outside they pretend like they differ on many different topics, but like you mentioned, it's all about how their funders, their donors differ on these different topics. So with that, without hesitation, I joined JFA and I couldn't have been happier. And I knew from that point forward, for however long JFA exists, I'm going to be a member of this party. I'm going to do everything I can to make us, an established political organization in the American political landscape.
Here's something I want to talk about because I heard this. Like I said, we did petition drives in Indiana. And so I remember when Dr. West first announced. And for some dumb reason, I thought, gee, get a podcast. So if you don't know, there used to be this podcast called Congratulations to the 47th President of the United States, Dr. Cornel West. Yes, it was that long. That's what the podcast was called. That's all I thought I was going to do. Then I attended a meeting and they said, no, Tracy, we really need Ballot access. Then I got into ballot access. Then ballot access led to fundraising. Fundraising left to party forming. And it just kept building. And although sometimes I'm not the best person to collect signatures, I'm really not. I don't regret it because it taught me how to deal with people. Even though even though we ran into, and I don't know where these Democrats in Indiana came from because we're a Republican state. Somehow they just all just kind of decided to sprout out every time I would show up. But they were so indignant about the whole, well, Dr. West is just ruining the campaign. And I'm like, well, no, he's making it better because he's running on a totally different platform. And I remember hearing about the party being formed, and I'm like, oh boy, now they're going to be proven right. And then I thought, who cares what they think? This party is rooted in money, clothed in racism. Yes, I called the Democratic Party racist. I did. I said it. I stand on it. They're committing genocide not only in Gaza, but the Sudan and all over the world. We have a president that's illegally occupying cities. I don't care anymore what you think. I'm going to reach people, and this is going to get to a question, I promise, but this is one of the rants I said I was going to go on. My job is to reach the person that stopped caring. That's my first responsibility, is to reach the person that said, you know what, I'm not going to vote. Then my second responsibility is to reach those who are frustrated with their own party. And the reason I say that is because you have Democrats that are openly criticizing their Democrat legislators. You have Republicans that are showing up at town hall meetings, letting them have it. And I think this is one of the best opportunities we have to make a really significant difference. So here comes my question. What do you envision not only the National Party doing to bridge that gap, but what do you see the Massachusetts Party doing, or are they the same thing?
So your question is more of like how in alignment, like how in unison do you see like the state committees being with the national committee as far as?
No, my question, the way I phrased it probably didn't make sense. So what I'm actually asking is, again, there's angry people. Like I said, my first goal is to reach those who didn't vote. Second is to reach people who are frustrated with their parties. What steps, here's how I'll ask the question. What steps do you think the JSA can say, hey, we're listening to you. We understand your concerns. Here's our platform. This is what we're actually doing. This is how we want to be held accountable. That's my question.
So what can we do to give that assurance to the voters and just the general public that we truly care about
Yes,
political needs?
absolutely.
Yeah. It's very simple to me. Be civically engaged. Make your face visible in these different communities, these different localities. Be an active member over there. Show up to the rallies, the marches. If there is annual weekly meetings, monthly meetings that these different organizations have. We mentioned earlier in our national committee meeting earlier today that we are going to be receptive and open to potentially allowing third-party organizations become members of JFA, whether it be, say, for example, a Native American civil rights organization that is very passionate and does a lot of great work with corrective justice, in increasing funding and access to resources in Native American reservations, making them available to potential members of JFA, things like that. So forming those really strong relationships with those different interest groups that can really make us connect all the dots of what we want to achieve. You can't just have these long lists of stances. Like I actually have the platform committee list of our stances here right now. We have a tab for Black American justice, we have one for child justice, education justice, gun violence justice, health justice, racial justice, voter justice, workers justice, all these different things. But you're not going to achieve any of these any of these goals, you're not going to be respected within those interest groups and those those social groups if you're not working with other organizations already established in those areas. So in my opinion, you gain that faith, you gain that goodwill, reputation in the community by being strong collaborators with those different organizations. What we see for the Democrat and Republican Party is they kind of wait on those organizations to reach out to them, or reach out to those organizations to help campaign for their candidates. That's not really how it should be done. But they're so large that it's kind of like, you need me more than I need you. Let's take advantage of that. Let's hijack their movements for the sake of, gaining their votes and helping us get more, troops on the, active people on the ground to support our campaigns. And that's kind of why they've lost the trust of the average American voter. They're realizing that they're being used as pawns, and they're waiting on you to reach out to them. That's not how grassroots movements work. You show your concern and your empathy and your authenticity by going to them, like Muhammad Ali did. Muhammad Ali was a perfect example. When he said that he really cared about, corrective justice for, Native Americans, he marched the Native Americans. When it came to, protesting, the anti-sentiments against Asian Americans, stuff like that, after Pearl Harbor, in the height of the Red Scare with Vietnam and Korea and things like that. He went to different college campuses and made himself there debating people who were very militaristic and pro-war for things that honestly were hypocritical. We're saying we care about the democratic rights of people in faraway lands we're not even given. We have segregation against Black and brown Americans. Doing things like that, go out of your way to forge those relationships, go to them as opposed to them coming to you. That's how we set ourselves apart from those other parties. And that's how we show our authenticity. And that's what we're doing in Massachusetts, and having conversed with people in other states too. I know that's what many other subcommittees are doing in our state organizations.
Exactly. And I do think, not that I think you missed this point, but I think letting people know they can hold us accountable. If we say that we're for Black justice, hold us accountable to what we say. Don't let us slide. I think that's the thing that frustrates me about, especially because the Republican voter, to me, they're just MAGA. Like they all are MAGA. Until somebody proves me wrong. I could be wrong, but that's just how I think. I just think they're all Trump supporters. That's what they do. And I'm pretty sure all of them don't support him, but that's who they voted for, right? I think it's hard for me to say that without sounding like I'm being like, but I know that we want to be held accountable for what it is that we say and what it is that we believe and how it is that we move within the community, because those things are important. If I'm trying to tell somebody, you need to participate in the electoral system, and I'm not like, I don't know, John Q. Public that's a Democrat, or John Q. Public that's a Republican that's taking APAC money, I have to say, you know what? You hold me accountable. You hold me accountable. If I say I'm going to do something and you don't see me doing it, then you need to run against me or find somebody to take me out of office.
Yeah, no, 100%. To me, timing's everything too. I care about what your views are, 10, 15 years before the election, as opposed to what your views are 1 year before the election. We see all the time with candidates, all of a sudden, something's a bubbling topic. It's a sticking point. It's a good thing for, the marketing of their campaign. All of a sudden, they become big advocates of this social injustice. And they're really just they're, movement hijacking. That's essentially what they are. They're profiting off of, the plight of other people to gain votes. That's what we're
not the Democrats. I'm being totally sarcastic. Yeah, not the Democrats. They would never. Yeah, they would never do that.
The Democrats say they're an inclusive party. They care about the civil rights and the social liberties of everybody. Yeah, of course, 100%. That's what the Democrats stand for. But yeah, the sarcasm aside. But yeah, that's another thing that we can do to set ourselves apart from from the just to gain the trust of these different micro communities, these other sub demographics in the United States that have very glaring needs and need for outreach and political advocacy. You want to establish these relationships from day one. Justice for All Party, how long has it been established now? I think for a year, a little over a year. We want to
Well,
be able
over
to tell
here.
people that since this organization was funded, this political party, since day one, we've been side by side with you, going to your civil rights rallies, advocating for your needs, pushing these different topics to Congress, hitting up our congressional representatives for these different social justice initiatives. That's how we set ourselves apart. The timing is everything. Like, for example, with this Gaza genocide stuff, I could tell a fake right away by seeing what their stances were just 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I knew where Dr. Cornel West's stance is since the 80s, of where he stood pro-Palestine, against the ethnic cleansing that's been happening in the West Bank and Gaza for over 50 years now. And that's why you saw a lot of the Muslim American vote, the Arab American vote in general, why they voted third party so much, and why Dr. Cornel West had very good success in Michigan, for example, and Illinois, in those different areas where those voters saw the authenticity between Dr. Cornel West and the facade that the Democratic Party was putting on. When that election even came about. And to be honest, it wasn't really a facade either. They basically were doing the bare minimum. They were saying we would support a ceasefire of some sort. So it could even be something. Our political system is so broken up and so underperforming that the bar was so low that people voted Democratic as opposed to Republican in the election because one party supported a ceasefire of some sort. But not an ethnic cleansing where settlements have been being overtaken and UN agreements have been violated, things like that. So that's just a little bit of a side note over there. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how we want to position ourselves. We're a grassroots movement for the people and by the people, and justice for all.
Now, this is a question I have never asked a state lead. And every time I get a state lead on, I have to remember to ask this question. What about running a candidate, one, for a congressional seat or a local? No, let me backtrack, because you all had to do it locally first. So what about running a local candidate for like city council, mayor, governor? Is the party looking to do that, or is that a couple years down the line?
So you're talking about like running people in local politics, like for city council. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's how we should start off. We should go about things. I'm a pretty big proponent of going the gradual, moving up the ladder way when it comes to politics. You get local city representatives in a city within your state. Get them as not just, people think often with the city there's really just the mayor and then everybody else. There's so many different other elected official positions within city politics that you can take advantage of. The gaining public support and the types of relationship building in city politics is much more accomplishable and feasible and realistic, to start off with, for a third party like us that hasn't been around for very long. That's so you develop those close-knit relationships within your community. You get some representatives from city politics. Then from there, you branch out into, then that's when you branch out into the state and federal political level. But I definitely think city politics is should be the first access point for JFA members. That's what I'm doing a great deal of work with. I grew up in the South Shore of Boston. One of our biggest cities is Brockton, and I grew up in that area. So, one thing I'm doing over there with faith-based organizations over there, other local community members, is working to potentially get candidates that are running for city positions over there, just to make ourselves known and stuff like that. And it's the most natural way, most natural, what's the word I'm looking for, most natural rise to credibility you can have. I mean, most people have lived in their hometown for usually most of their life. They've been there for a very long time. You already have relationships with the business owners, the local business owners. You have relationships with people, alumni from the high school, with people in the PTO, things like that. You harness those relationships, and that's how you really, form a grassroots movement in that nature, from that aspect. So that I'm actually a big proponent of that. I think you should start off local first and then branch off from there.
So when you run for office, will you come back and be a guest on the show?
100%.
I just put. I'm like, yeah. When you are like, I just literally made the decision for you, Tracy. Stop doing it. But the last question I have is, and I've asked every person this, and I'm perhaps phrasing the question wrong, but I will try this again because I have this thing about me. I can't quit, so I got to ask it. If you were speaking to a non-voter, somebody that says, I don't vote, I don't believe in it, they're all the same, and you were trying to convince them, hey, you need to look into the Justice for All Party. What is and listen to this number, the one thing that you would tell them?
The one thing I would tell them to, truncate that answer into one thing, it's pretty difficult. But if I were to say one thing that I would tell them, I would say, our policy is rooted in what you the people want, what you the people want, a popular sovereignty, what you the people want as in popular sovereignty, whereas not what the big corporate America wants the policy to be. That's essentially how I would break it down, just in one sentence, just to set them apart from what that is. Because I think the reason of the dissatisfaction that people have where they don't vote whatsoever is just feel like nobody cares about what I want. Nothing is relevant. Nothing being negotiated on in Capitol Hill is relevant to my everyday life or relevant to what I believe in. Or if there are some things that the topics are some things that do concern me, they're just really just taking the easy way out. They're all, they're all, it's all performative activism. You pass some, condemnations on the floor where, you repudiate what someone else says, or a big thing you see in Congress now is like, instead of passing a bill that's for, racial justice, they'll just do a little vote, like as far as I support this and support that. I forget the exact term for it, but essentially there'll be a topic and say, vote yes if you believe that this is an issue, and stuff like that. Even for example, if there's an event where say a Congress member engages in an act that is hostile to the Bill of Rights, hostile to the natural constitutional rights that every American citizen has, you'll see like the Senate, they'll vote on condemning that action, and all it's saying is like, oh, we don't support it, but it doesn't really have anything. They're not voting on a bill to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Right. There's no power behind it.
There's no power behind it. So that's what I would also hearken on, and I would, highlight to a person who's just anti-establishment or they don't vote whatsoever, saying that, we're going to advocate for things you believe in, the popular sovereignty of, your everyday working class American. And, that's what we're going to be advocating for. And our interests are not being bought by corporate America. And even, when these different topics are being addressed by these parties, we're going to go the route of attacking the root of the problem as opposed to just, speaking things, a bunch of, sugarcoating without action.
Or word salad. See, yes. I didn't go on my word salad. See, y'all, look, I'm not going to do that because we've almost been here an hour. But before we go, I do want to give a couple of reminders. Remember, Tuesday, the Tracy Show makes a sort of kind of return. I will be interviewing Ted Brown, who is a candidate for office. He's an independent. So I'll probably be talking about, hey, have you considered joining? But that's Tuesday at 7 live on YouTube. Then Saturday at 11 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. I will be live at the No More Kings rally here in Indianapolis. I'll be going live to kind of give my thoughts. This will be the first one I've attended. And keep in mind, I will still do a show that Saturday evening. So if you are a JFA supporter and you do not want to see me struggle by myself, hit me up on email or just say, hey, Tracy, I want to be a guest, because I would really prefer a guest. I'll go by myself if I have to, but we still plan on doing a show. So final question to you is there anything that you want to say to the audience that's watching or who will watch in the future about the Justice for All Party that I didn't ask you about?
So could you repeat that question one more time?
Is there something you want to say about the Justice for All Party in closing that I didn't ask you about?
I would say just yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that, you know, we are truly a grassroots movement. You know what, you know, we're seeing from even within the Democratic Party, we're not a fringe movement by the any sense of the means. We're not, you know, something that's so far away from the mainstream political system where you could call, where, you know, the mainstream media would like to call us deviants or radicals and stuff like that. We're really just here to, you know, address and act as a representative for, you know, the unspoken, the people who have been silenced and the people who have been marginalized from the political system for decades now. You know, what you're seeing in New York with Zoran Mamdani, what you're seeing in Minneapolis with Omar Fateh, what you're even seeing here, you know, in my home state of Massachusetts with Ayanna Pressley, these progressive Democrats, they, many of their views, and I'm not going to give percents of like how much, if it's the majority or minority, but a hefty amount, because I haven't studied, I haven't done the research, the data to give you numbers on that, but a hefty amount of what they believe in and what, you know, their core principles are is really what we're making as the mainstream. Right now, they're in the minority of their groupie party that has all these, you know, legacy views and legacy stances, that are not progress, that have not changed much over time, and they're not going to change anytime soon. It's been, you know, like Dr. Cornel West says, I think he uses the term milk
Milk
toast,
toast.
milk toast, yeah, milk toast policies, stuff like that. What we're doing is what those progressives believe in. We're making that the mainstream view of our party. So if you agree with, you know, what a lot of these progressives have from the Democratic Party, we're taking all those views and we're making it our cornerstone, our foundation. This is what we're built on. Whereas those individuals, they represent such a small minority of their party, to the point where being in that party for so long, you start to compromise your own views for the sake of gaining acceptance from your party, for the sake of getting any, just, you know, getting things done. And that's the reason why Dr. Cornel West said adamantly, time and time again, so he was interviewed, I forget who was interviewed, but it was a mainstream cable network. Would you consider running as a Democrat? Since you say that there's a lot of flaws within the Democratic Party, isn't the best way to change something? Isn't the best way to change a negative quality of an organization is to join in and change it from within? And Dr. Cornel West gave a great answer. Absolutely not. No, there's no way of correcting such a polluted environment when you're surrounded by polluters that outnumber you overwhelmingly. At that point, you have to break away and start your own movement, to have enough of a backing and enough of a guided coalition to remove that pollution from outside. You know, so that's exactly what we are. And I encourage you to, if you are identify as someone for DSA, or, you know, a progressive some sort, even without a political affiliation, to, you know, work with us. You know, we want, at the end of the day, we want our views. We have very progressive views, and we represent what, you know, the trends are for American public opinion. And just, you know, we're very welcoming too. If you reach out, we're more than happy to have dialogue with you from our personal phone numbers, things of that nature. So yeah, if you have any questions, always just a for all party, you know, contact us. and do not view us as some type of fringe fringe group that is out of touch with what the mainstream political system is. The reality is the mainstream political system is out of touch with what the majority of America wants.
Absolutely. And remember, everyone, finally remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, donate. Like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and always remember to walk in truth, justice, and love. I will see you all Tuesday. Thank you so much for being interviewed. I really enjoyed it. And of course, I say this to all my guests because I haven't had a bad guest yet. Of course, the invitation is always, please feel free to come back. Love having you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to play the outro, and I'll see you all on Tuesday.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.